Hey guys, I've just released the full extraction pilot chapter. I also wanted to mention a couple things about what I'm doing now. I'm actually working on a new game. It is a puzzle-based platformer, so there's certain game mechanics that make for some interesting puzzles to solve. There's something called game sponsorships. That model is what I'm going with on Rotate. As far as how much I'll make from it, usually with this kind of thing, as long as the game is good, I could probably make at least a couple grand. I've been working on a project that may seem unrelated to my current game at first, but this has to do with the Flash game called Everybody Edits. Now, I did some experimentation starting a week ago on an interesting project, eckskwisit. I have no idea where this is even going to go or how much farther I'm going to take it, but it will be something I'll be experimenting with. I mentioned last week that I was participating in the Ludum Dare Game Jam with my brother Alex. The theme this time around was running out of power. Yesterday, Alex and I over at Loud Studios, along with another guy we've been working with, we just announced a new game. This game is called Blockworks. The focus of the game is actually on building mechanisms. So currently we've experimented with buttons and doors and stuff like that, but we got some much more grand ideas for the future of the game. I can actually finally say Blockworks is released. We will be doing intermittent bug fixes or cleanup or maintenance wherever necessary, but I want to spend more time getting back onto Rotate. Well, I implemented gravity, and I can now walk up the stairs, and I can also jump around, so it's starting to feel a bit more like a platformer. Now, some of the stuff I've also been working on today has been preparation for that other project I mentioned. Not a whole lot of people know this because we don't really talk about it publicly, but me and Alex actually like to experiment with filmmaking. We're planning on actually filming it tomorrow. We're going to be going to a location and shooting potentially the whole thing tomorrow. It's going to be interesting, that's for sure. And now I can actually rotate. Well, yeah, you see what I mean. It's not quite done yet, but most of it works. I started off by working a bit on the main menu of the game, and it turned out pretty good. Well, the biggest thing that I did this week was I worked on the level editor. Today, November the 5th, is my birthday, and I'm turning 18 today, so this marks the new point when everything's going to get actually moving properly, and I'm going to get making money and be able to afford to get the things that I need and the things that I want, and it's all just going to go a lot more smoothly. Now, of course, I expect plenty of challenges along the way, but in general, I think everything's going to go a lot better. I did get quite a few things done. I got the cat implemented, I got the AI implemented, although it needs some tweaking here and there. I got pausing in the game and screen transitions, so it fades to black between screens and feels a lot more polished. But unfortunately, that's basically it. I did not end up making more levels. I think it's obvious that, well, if today's the 26th, tomorrow's the 27th, that's when I was initially wanting to send the email. I think it's pretty clear that I need a little more time on Rotate. Well, I was thinking a lot yesterday, especially last night, and I've come to some different conclusions. I've actually decided that I will pause on Rotate for now. The only reasons I really had for getting it released sooner was so that I could get the money and be able to get computer parts for my new build that I'll be doing soon. And rushing to get the game out sooner just because of that isn't really a good idea. It's not worth it. It is the first video of the year, first video of 2018. I'm trying to figure out how much I need to change with how I'm approaching making Rotate, and I'm also getting set up to help on another project that I'll probably be mentioning in next week's video if all goes according to plan. I can now announce that I am working on Everybody Edits. So anyway, I'm not sure exactly how this will all progress going forward. Currently there is no money involved or anything, so obviously I need to stay really focused on getting Rotate done. So also to do with Everybody Edits, I decided to actually change my username. I decided to go with the name Byte Array. Now this name change may also affect a few other things in the future, but seeing that they're all just ideas right now, I'm not really gonna talk about it just yet. Yesterday I noticed I've hit 2 milestones actually. So on Game Jolt, the platform I was distributing my game The Hamburger Man, well, it's finally reached $10 in ad revenue. That's my first $10 made from game dev, so yeah. And then also on my YouTube channel, I finally hit 300 subscribers. I definitely will be getting in contact with potential sponsors this week. So of course, I'll fill you guys in next week on whatever happens. We'll see. I did get a response back, and they said that they were definitely interested in the game, but their offer for that was $300, which that's not very much for all the work that I've put into this. When people are seeing ads on a game, they're the ones paying for that game if it's a sponsorship deal, but extremely indirectly. Okay, let's say I get my game sponsored by some place. They're obviously getting paid by some ad company, and of course they're being paid by companies that are advertising on there. And why are they putting money into that? Well, because they expect to make more money from customers buying their products. So basically, players are indirectly paying for the game anyway. So things like Patreon seem like a pretty good option, and it's something I'm definitely going to be looking into this year, because that cuts out all the middlemen. People can still play the game for free, but people who actually want to support can pay what they want to support creators, and I think that's more the future for this kind of stuff. Anyway, another thing that I've been working on this past week has been some preparation for the Rotate release on the 20th. That's Wednesday, and that's only 3 days out right now, so I'm pretty excited to finally have the game out where you guys can finally play it for yourself and let me know what you think. As you are probably aware, I finally released Rotate. Throughout the remainder of the afternoon and evening on Wednesday, I worked on some bug fixes for the game. There were just some problems with syncing with the scoreboards and medals on Newgrounds. Another thing that happened this week was I ordered my first phone. So the phone that I ended up going with is the Moto E4. There we go, it's got a little charge in it. So yeah, it's Discord on a phone, which is weird, but normal. This week I have released my game engine, Frost 2D. It's an HTML5 game engine written in Hakes, and it's meant to be very easy to use and convenient for making stuff the way that I'm used to working. Before the game jam, I was mostly working on stuff to do with the Everybody Edit server. Anyway, I was also thinking about stuff to do with the client and how I'm coding that. I've been using Hakes, and it generally does the job pretty well, but there are certain quirks and certain limitations that do come due to the nature of the fact that it's not JavaScript that you're working with. Which brings me back to the decision of, like, do I work with actual JavaScript, or rather TypeScript most likely. The Ludum Dare Game Jam is officially on. The theme of this Game Jam is running out of space, and for a little while I was having troubles coming up with any ideas for a game that I want to make, but I actually figured out something. Ludum Dare was definitely an interesting experience. I made an interesting game called Paradise Inc., and while it definitely has some very major plot holes, and it's definitely lacking in the areas of interaction and any sort of choice for the player, overall I am happy with what I was able to achieve within 3 days. It was a lot of hard work, but I made a thing, and that's what Ludum Dare is all about. I now have 8 gigs of RAM, and that all seems to be working quite well. It's definitely increased my ability to multitask. After that, the drive caddy replacement got here. The first thing I did to test it out was I actually put my SSD in there, and it seemed to be working just fine, so it was time to begin the next phase, which was swapping out the SSD and hard drive and getting Windows onto the SSD. In the middle of that process was the Micro Center trip on Thursday. And at Micro Center, I picked up that monitor I was talking about. It seems to be working great. I'm just trying to get some things dialed in with the color. The first area we ended up going to was the VR area, and that's where I experienced virtual reality for the first time. So basically what I have been working on is the canvas renderer. It's something fairly simple that I've done so many times in the past, like rotate and blockworks and all that. Anyway, the other stuff that I was doing this week and what I was wrapping up yesterday was to do with, well, that side project I've mentioned a couple times recently. And what it is a Skillshare class on web design, specifically content-focused minimalism in web design, which is kind of what I classify my style and approach to making websites as. And a couple weeks in, I was really questioning whether or not to continue, and I actually pretty much decided that I was going to cancel working on this project, but then I decided that if I'm going to make a commitment about something, I'm going to actually get it done. I spent the first half of the week working on the actual design for the new lobby, and I think it's turning out pretty decent. And the first step that I took in designing this was to find a bunch of images of what the lobby has looked like over the years to see what good elements there were in each of the designs. Because any of the times the previous staff designed a new lobby, they obviously had a thought process behind thinking about what goes where and all that. And that clearly means that there are some good elements in each one. So essentially what I have accomplished is updating the worlds list. And this is definitely one of the major points about the lobby overhaul, because in the current design as the game is right now, the lowest point of contrast on the lobby visually is the worlds list. It's all gray, various shades of gray, white text and all that. And I'm pretty sure most of you know that contrast is one of the things the eye is drawn to, and drawing the eye away from the main list of worlds to play is kind of counterintuitive from a game design standpoint. Overall, I think the update went alright. It introduces the lobby overhaul that I've been working on, as well as the time trials mode for playing campaigns. My focus is going to be pretty much 100% on Everybody Edits Universe. I'm not going to be working on it alone, as some people seem to be assuming. There's just a lot of stuff that I do need to set up the groundwork for. So I've started the actual server-side and client-side projects. So in the past I had done various tech demos and experiments to see what structures would work, but this time around it was making the real deal and trying to work out the best ways of handling things and making sure it would remain as stable as possible. Everybody Edits got zucked. And by that I mean Everybody Edits isn't on Facebook anymore. It was abruptly taken down, and it would appear that it's part of them removing all Flash games from their site. And that makes sense, except there was no warning of any sort. So effectively, the only option is manual transfers. So if you do play Everybody Edits and you use a Facebook account and you need your account transferred, go ahead and email staff@everybodyedits.com. Chris will go ahead and get your account transferred when he gets to your email. I heard about a game jam going on over at Cool Math Games, and the theme was Use Your Head. The deadline is the night of the 4th, so a little longer than the Ludum Dare game jams have been. And overall, it's getting there. I think the idea is definitely working out. Alex is involved with this as well. He's going to be doing the art for the game, or at least that's the plan right now. He's been doing some concept art, so hopefully he can start getting some actual graphics done, because obviously today's Sunday, tomorrow's Monday. Well, these are the last 2 days to the jam. The game we ended up making is called Finn's Fantastic Food Machine, and the game is broken down into 2 stages, where you catch plates on your head, and then where you go and serve them to the customers. And every round there's more and more plates, and it just increases in difficulty up until you eventually win the game. So, as you can see, the game runs pretty smoothly, generally. And now, keep in mind, it's, of course, the canvas renderer still. I have not had time to work on the WebGL version. Got all the drawing, got mini-map. Now, of course, we are a little behind where we would have liked to have been by this point, but we still are on track to at least try to get the game out sometime in April. I definitely think it's possible. This has been a very strange week. I started off working on Everybody at Its Universe, implementing chat into the game. Now, where things get interesting this week is that, well, there were some sales on some of the computer components I was looking at. But anyway, I went ahead and went over to Micro Center and picked up all the parts for my PC build. So now you can actually create worlds by a name, see other worlds in the lobby, join those, and it all works as you might expect. Another thing that ended up happening this week was we got to try out Luke's physics system. So it's not fine-tuned yet, it doesn't control very well, it's very slippery, but the basics are there, it collides, it isn't too glitchy, but there are a few weird things that can happen. So on Everybody at Its Universe, I did work on some stuff to do with server stability, with how rooms are created, and some stuff to do with how the chat works, like filtering characters to currently the printable ASCII characters, although we will be allowing more in the future. And then I also added pinning the chat so that the messages don't always fade away, so you basically see all of them like as if you were selected in the chat. Alex and I have finally released Finn's Fantastic Food Machine. People seem to like it so far, especially on Newgrounds. Right now, this weekend, I'm actually participating in Ludum Dare. The theme was announced to be Your Life is Currency. I was thinking more about how I'd like to get back into working on some more music here soon, and I got the idea to check if there were any Monster Cat song remix contests going on, because I had previously checked a while ago, and there actually was one going on. It started on the 19th of last month, ends on the 6th, which is now tomorrow, and I decided that, yeah, I've really got to participate, so I spent the next few days working on my entry, and I actually just got that uploaded this morning. So they'll supposedly be announcing the winner on the 8th. So essentially, I've been trying to reach out to different places about sponsoring or licensing Finn's Fantastic Food Machine, but Armor Games and Cool Math both turned it down. For Cool Math, it's because the game didn't really seem to fit for their site. It's not as much based around skill or strategy, so they weren't too big on it. But on Armor Games, it was just that it was too small, which is perfectly understandable. In the future, I definitely do want to move away from web games as my primary source of income. That's what I'm going to be trying. That one game I mentioned I'll be working on later this year. So anyway, aside from Finn's Fantastic Food Machine stuff this week, some other things did happen. For example, the song remix contest results came in. I did not win, which isn't too surprising. The guy who did definitely made a very good remix. So anyway, on Everybody at Its Universe, I have been fixing issues that I've noticed here and there, fixing some bugs, making things more stable, all of that. But the biggest thing that I've added is the blocks menu, so now you can see a lot more blocks than you could just on the block selector. But yeah, I mean, we've got the basic blocks, we've got a solid black block, we've got a basic coin, although it needs to be refined. And then we have gravity arrows, which Luke has been working on adding to the physics system. They work pretty well right now, although there's still a lot of fine-tuning and bug fixing needed for those. But overall, everything is coming together on the physics. It's just a lot of fine-tuning still needed. It really shouldn't take us too long to get this out, but yeah, as I said, probably not the end of this month. It's just a matter of making a good game, and it'll take whatever time it needs. We just need to move as quick as we can and not stall or delay. Well, we're finally back around to the current date, the 26th of May, and it's definitely been a wild ride over these past couple of years. 2 years really is a lot of time, and I feel like I really have learned quite a lot during that time. So really, it's hard to tell where I'll be at in another 2 years from now. Will I do another compilation of 100 videos? Probably not. No, I didn't include every single video, but still, it's way too many. But yeah, I am really interested in seeing where this all leads in the future, but only time will tell. and we'll find out soon enough. But yeah, that is going to have to be it for today. So as always, I do thank my contributors over on Patreon. It really is a huge help. I really can't thank you enough. And of course, I want to thank everybody at its patrons as well. So yeah, I'll see you around. Goodbye.